Hi, I'm John Fisher, and I'm going to be reading the catch of the day for today, Friday, which is March 4, 2022. And the title of our catch today is Don't Give Up on Anyone. My wife, Marty, loves to tell the story of a dramatic rescue in which she played a significant role when she was a flight attendant. On a routine done at 100 times flight from Chicago to New York, a gentleman on board had a heart attack, literally keeled over in his seat. This is when you're really grateful for the flight attendant call button the man's fellow passengers pushed in a panic. Marty sprang into action as soon as she discovered what had happened. She often complained about her flight attendant job that they were so well trained and what they rarely used. Of course, you want it this way since what they were trained for is emergencies like getting people off of burning planes. That didn't matter to Marty. In her imagination, she had gotten everyone safely off the plane 1,000 times. So much so that she actually used to talk about wanting to crash. I tried to point out to her that in most crashes, there were no survivors, but she would have none of that. So, this was a chance for her emergency training to finally kick in, which it did when she and her fellow flight attendant rolled the man out of his seat onto the floor of the plane and immediately began administering CPR. One of them breathing air into his lungs while the other pressed on his breastbone. For over an hour, they carried this out, never knowing for sure whether or not they were saving the man's life or merely manipulating a corpse. To carry this out for so long was exhausting work, and more than once during the process they contemplated giving up. But this is Marty we're talking about here, and give up is simply not in her DNA. Marty also happened to know the pilot well. They were working together in an organization she had begun in her Los Angeles domicile called Fellowship of Christian Airline Personnel. And he had ultimate respect and trust in Marty to call the shots. Like a lot of pilots back then, he was a former World War II fighter pilot who took Marty's cue and banked the plane around, heading it to the nearest major airport. He called ahead and got the whole airport on lockdown so there would be no delay in landing and taxiing to the designated gate where an emergency crew waiting to immediately board the plane. Marty says that when they descended, it felt like he was dive bombing an enemy carrier. By the time the emergency crew was on board, the man had regained consciousness and was breathing on his own. The whole plane had erupted in applause as they rolled him out on the gurney. But before they left, the man thanked Marty and her fellow flight attendant profusely for saving his life. And then he revealed to her an amazing thing. Trapped inside his unconsciousness, he could nevertheless still hear everything, including the debate as to whether it was worth it to continue. And the whole time he kept screaming inside himself, "Don't give up on me. Please don't give up." I want you to start imagining that everyone you meet, whether they acknowledge it or not, whether they are a seeker or an avid atheist, somewhere deep down inside, there is a voice screaming, "Don't give up on me. Please don't give up." Learn to listen for that voice and believe it. And whatever you do, don't give up on anyone. This is John Fisher for Grace Turned Outward.